Good afternoon, everyone. Long time no see. Especially true for those of you that have not been able to join a forward focus for the last couple of weeks because I have been on vacation. The rest of you I just saw about 2 minutes ago. How is everyone doing today? You guys all see my screen okay? Awesome. All right. My vacation. Well, I need a vacation from my vacation. Let's just make it like another 5 years before I go on vacation again, right? 11-hour time difference. Oh, I loved trading from Europe though. That is like one of the nice things. The traveling is not so much fun. I had 4 flights back in essentially a single day and all of those flights, so I had to fly from Bodrum to Istanbul. That was like a 3.5 hour flight. Then from Istanbul to London, there's another like 3.5 hours. London to, where was it? Dallas, I think. And that was, I don't know, way too many hours to count. And then Dallas to Tucson. And guys, I'm still wiped out. Oh man. I do not know how the diplomats do it. Exactly. It's a vacation hangover for sure. The next traveling I am doing, I am going back to Dallas actually. So I'll be at the Money Show in Dallas in right about a month. So hopefully some of y'all can join me down there. At least this is just like a single flight this time, right? So how have you guys been holding up? Doing good? I got some messages where people are like, hey, where are you at? You are not in forward focus because our bot kept sending out the joins. So hopefully we are all back on track with everybody. Crazy week, huh, you guys? Let's start here with looking at the NASDAQ. I'm going to pull the NASDAQ up. We've just been looking at this over in League of Traders. And I'll do just a really rapid review of what we were just talking about because basically this is the third time in a row we've had this massive descent here on the intraday charts over the last couple of days. And the last couple of days we've gotten nice 2Bs that will turn things back around and at least, lead the way to turn things back around for the rest of the day. And this morning, as we were discussing, we were not anticipating that because third time is typically not the charm when it comes to pattern repetition. So if you see a beautiful 2T and a second beautiful 2T and a third setup that looks like a beautiful 2T, it's probably not going to be very beautiful. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of like one of those rules. You can make a note of it, sticky note, put it on your wall, whatever. Third time, not the charm when it comes to pattern repetition. Even when a pattern triggers and goes and get a little bit of a gain, the odds are you're just not going to get the same type of gain you would the previous 2 times around. So if we go back on NASDAQ, for example, first to be, I took this in the Russell, not the NASDAQ, but here it was on the NASDAQ. And after that extreme sell-off morning, and it went really nicely the rest of the day. Did a little bit of a retest with a little baby head and shoulders here. But you know what? Overall, really nice move. Second time around. Da 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 da. Eek. Here we go. Crashing down again. Next to be. Okay. It did all right. It made it into R2, helped lead the shift that led to the continuation on the upside. And then here's the 2T that we had in League of Traders. Triggered the short. Here was our retest, second opportunity. Here's our bounce. We were looking at that two-way bounce and the retest for the second opportunity on that bounce to short. And then here's the two-wave move into the slightly lower low. Looks like a 2B, right? Except it just doesn't get going. It manages to come up to the upper end of the channel, and that is it. So even this morning, as I mentioned earlier in the day, I wasn't expecting as good of a recovery here today because we'd already had several strong recoveries in a row and things were rolling over at the highs here. So usually this time it could have even gone into a choppier range here. It actually did pretty decent on the recovery, but it still was not enough to totally turn things around. This could have easily gone into choppier move and continued lower at that point. You'll see kind of the same type of thing over here. So see how this went into a chop move after it had 2 waves of downside? So 2 waves, choppy, then continued lower. That could have easily happened over here too today. It's just the smaller momentum shifts help kind of pull things up a little bit better. So right now, I'm going to go bigger time frame. This is our 8,000. Let's go up to our 20,000. And here's what we've got going on here. So overall, this is looking like we could try to start get a directional bias breaking out of this channel. With this is interesting. So coming off of this low, we had our two-wave move, right? And then we had the two-wave correction. That two-wave correction formed with a megaphone, but the megaphone couldn't make it back up to the upper end of this channel. If it had pulled up further here, this goes back to our megaphone class for those of you that are in League of Traders. If this had pulled up to here, this would have had a really strong shot coming back up to here and then even continuing probably with a second wave. But it didn't. It stalled 50%. 50% is a big deal when we're looking at megaphones. We want them to go about 2/3, 3/4 of the way back up in order to do a second move that's going to bring it to the upper end of that larger megaphone. That could have gone to another continuation because it would have treated this whole megaphone as the two-wave correction following the two-wave move up. So it would have been like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what could have happened coming off of this lows, but it depended upon how this played out in here. So it didn't make it, rounded off here instead. So now at this point, this can more easily develop into something that can break down as we go into next week. Let's pull that back up again. I kind of bumped it. There we go. I'm going to go up to our larger time frame charts. Daily chart. Let's clear these off. So what we've got going on the daily chart is a 2T, rounding off at the highs, kind of trying to do a An avalanche, not really the prettiest. So who can tell me what some pros and cons are on an avalanche here? Let's test you guys. Pros and cons. Avalanche pattern right here. Da 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 da. I need to find that Jeopardy theme song. Pulled up past 61.8%. That is actually not horrible in all avalanches. If it's a shallow avalanche, where it starts off a little bit more gradual here with the two-wave move, it can pull up more than 61.8 and then just crash. So the fact that it pulled up past 6 to 61.8 after an extreme move, that in particular is the con. Timing. So timing, this could go into a head and shoulders, and that would be a little bit better for that particular type of avalanche. But the momentum here is an issue. So this momentum means that this forms an avalanche here. Sometimes it can go and shift coming out of that. So it might not follow through as easily. Or it starts slowly, kind of goes like that, and then it might gain speed later on, but overall, it's not ideal. Now, it's still good for, shorting the second high here. You're going to usually get at least to the lower end of this channel, and usually it will break the lower end of that channel. But we've got to worry about this previous low zone now. So coming here, this could shift, come back down into that zone. This massive rapid drop here is really the main con, and that it went and had such a strong reaction after that massive rapid drop. So my bias is to the downside as we go into next week, but it could be more of a back and forth type of downside. Let's see if I can show you an example of this. Whoops, my charts don't go back far enough. Let's add some more data. I have to do a different time frame to show you some examples. So see here, this is a little bit more gradual. It's about the same momentum as the way up, but even it pulls up more than 50%. That previous low holds as support. So what it does is it kind of creeps up, ends up doing something that's kind of a hybrid between a 2T and an avalanche, where if you look at this whole channel, it ends up hugging the lower end of that channel and then is able to break down more easily. But it doesn't do it with an avalanche right here. Here, same thing, pulse back, goes into a base, it really just can't even get going. It ends up popping back up actually. That one didn't even try, but still here, really strong momentum. Couldn't form an avalanche there. Aha, here, good example. Rapid drop, two-wave bounce, and see how it shifts as it comes back down. So it manages the lower low, even though it moved up more than 50% and had the extreme drop here to start, but it does it with that choppier action. So see this chop back and forth? Here's the low, it comes back into the previous low. It bounces all the way back up, you guys, before it goes back down again, bounces again, goes back down again. So that would be more normal for what can happen with an avalanche here at this point. Here's a shallow avalanche example where it has a slower start, pulls up more than 61.8%, and then drops fast. This one is kind of normal, kind of a hybrid between an avalanche and a 2T. Here you've got a more gradual move, a lot more overlap from one bar to the next, has the two-way correction, and then drops. This is a shallow avalanche here. Shallow because it starts out slower, kind of basis. Sometimes it even kind of tilts to the downside here and then goes. And then it usually goes with much stronger momentum. They're kind of tricky because a lot of times they tease you and you think, oh, this is a pullback for a buy. But no, it changes the momentum in here and ends up doing the shallow breakdown. Right, let's look at some of the other markets. I'm going to pull up the ES, or actually we'll do the Russell here quick. So Russell is dealing with the same set of circumstances over here with the strong momentum down, trying to base, and then it's going to want to try to break lower. Now, when these have a smaller base that's more like a kneecap, it holds less than 50% of the rally down, it can go and do a 1, 2, 3. So here is a good example. See how this pops up? Really sharp pop, then your base, it's your kneecap, and continues. So if that had based right here, without doing more of a 50, more than the 50% pullback, that could more easily be a kneecap. If it pulls up 50%, and especially if it pulls back more than 50%, the odds of it being able to do that as a kneecap is dramatically diminished. Of the three indices, the Russell has the greatest chance of it happening. So it has the greatest chance of still trying to go faster because it did recover less than the other two, but it's still right at that 50% point. Let me see if I can show you some more examples of that. Here's one, rapid move up, kneecap, but I don't see too many here other than just the one right here. Rapid move down, but it's not extreme. It has two waves into it and then does the kneecap. It's not like just a sharp one push down. So here, sharp one push, kneecap can continue. Sharp, one push down, more of a kneecap. It continues, but it struggles. So on the continuation, what you want to see is it has to make it to 61.8% on that first move. 61.8% of this. Otherwise, it can go and shift. It can create a momentum reversal, a 2B, anything like that. So when you're looking at this continuation and you're looking for a 1, 2, 3, you really want to watch how far extended can that go. In order to get to that full 100%, it needs to get to right about here before you see any smaller kneecap. So if it can't get to there with a full flush, it's more likely that it's going to turn into a momentum reversal. All right, let's see here. So this is our daily. I'm going to go up to our weekly. Weekly is interesting because we're right at a midway point. Let's go up to monthly. More data. My charts got all messed up when I was doing overseas because I was using this computer as a trading computer too. Oh, it's not going to show me more months. I'll pull it up on TradeStation. By the way, we just had a momentum reversal on the NQ on the 100 tick, and it is hitting first support here. For those of you that are studying patterns, it was a really pretty one. I'll show you that where this loads. Here you can see it on the 50 tick. This is a beautiful momentum reversal because you've got that shift in momentum already coming up here, and then it does the momentum reversal. These are the perfect ones that when you're looking at your second chance opportunities, these are the ones that I will short as they're coming up into the upper end of that channel. For those of you that are newer to trading, use the channel break. But those in League of Traders, we've been discussing getting in at that absolute pivot. And that has been our topic for the week this week. Little baby momentum reversal right off the support too. See, 1, 2, 3, little pop. Not as good of placement though as the short. Trend placement. Okay, Russell, we're going to look at the IWM here first. Monthly. First thing you guys will notice here on our monthly, 1, 2, 3 waves up. So extended trend here at this point. This is going to make this more choppy. So this pulled up all the way back to the 50%. We're still looking at this trying to creep down because of what's happening on the daily charts. So it could creep down to the lower end of this channel, but that could still bounce back up off of this channel. So this could actually be a zone for a second chance opportunity for a bounce. Comes back into this zone. So look at how long each of these previous 2 corrections took. This one is likely to take longer. So it might go into a longer correction, then still do a pop where it could even go to a higher high, but it's going to need a longer correction to try to do that. So we're just going to be looking for this to be playing in a range on the weekly and the monthly time frame. Oh my gosh, here for quite a while. Some monthly. NVIDIA. There's your second chance, guys, on that NVIDIA, those of you in League of Traders. Right back up at that breakdown zone. And it was the one wave pop we talked about today. Let's see. Could the area I boxed in be an area to scalp? Let's go look. Boxed in zone. Let me make this bigger for you guys. Oh, it's not gonna let me do that. There we go, okay. to bigger. I know it's hard to see this. I might pull this up on my own screen. Here's the waves of action in here. And here's her boxed zone. So this is a 2-wave move up, and you got it into the fan resistance. So that's a good place for scalping. I would only do the 2-wave scalping on the downside here. This could have done a 2B, just depending upon what was going on some larger time frames. Obviously, our larger time frame here today was bearish, so not a good 2B location. But in other circumstances, it is a zone that you would see that happening. So instead, we got the continuation and then the shift. Let me go and show it to you on my charts a little cleaner. I'll change it to a tick chart. So this zone, I mean, these are your second chance pivots that we talked about in our session all week here. But because of the larger trend placement on the daily time frame, these buys are the ones that are higher risk. You're just less likely to get decent follow through. So even though we're getting these second chance tests of support, you're getting another one here, actually just on this one, they are higher risk as far as you're not as likely to get the major turnarounds. Now, the more this rounds off at the lows, the better these are going to be. So intraday, you'll start to get some better ones. That might even happen here just because it's coming into the previous high with that first gap closure. These are a good retest here. When you see this, this is a 10-tick chart. So here's your first low zone. It did the first retest here. Then it comes back into that zone, and then you get the momentum reversal. So that's a good one for looking at for a scalp, for an entry for your scalp entries. But again, you will have to keep in mind the larger time frame. So these would just be intraday trades on something like this. Is there a short second chance? So on a daily, this was the second chance for the short. So it might go and do that third, but you would usually expect it to do it fast, like that. So it would have to be closer together than these two, because if it goes and widens up like over here, that would be more like your third test. So your third test is more likely to not hold. So if it can do the two together, basically create an M in here, that would be worthwhile. Lulu. So this is that same momentum issue that we were just talking about. See how it has the extreme drop here? And then it goes back more than 50%? That's the kind that can have a harder time getting going, and you can get more choppiness back and forth. And sometimes it will even come in and pull back up in here and do a higher high. Let's go look at the weekly. So 3 waves up. Oh, this would be more bearish. Okay, so even though this doesn't have like a perfect zone for an avalanche quite yet with the two-wave move, if it tries to go a little further like that and can do like a head and shoulders, that would be ideal. If it goes earlier, what you'll probably see happening is a slower start, and then it could gain momentum. But it would probably go with a slower start first, and then try to gain momentum. But this is really strong resistance on Lulu. Really, really strong. You've got your two-wave movement, so it tries to go for a 2T, um, doesn't look like it quite hit a full 100%, and then it does the smaller 2T here. So this is something that usually would turn around pretty well. You're just at, I even passed S1 support here. So you got congestion support, next support would be down here on the weekly on Lulu. This is a two-wave retest of the low here on the NASDAQ, you guys. Those of you following futures market right now. Let's go look at some of our Forex pairs. We haven't been looking at that here for a while. So here is our euro dollar, which really has not been too exciting over the last year and a half. But look at what it did. See that extreme drop there, you guys? See how it did the two-wave base, and now it's just kind of this is what we're talking about. That can happen on Lulu. Same type of thing. Just struggle to get going, and they can go and gain momentum later on. We're just not getting any confirmation yet on this darn thing. I've been playing the two-wave back and forth moves here on the smaller time frames, but let's see what our daily is looking like right now. Here's our retest at a low, one wave pull into it. So the question is, can this hold? This is a do or die point. You actually have the buy set up here, and it does have room on the larger time frames to be able to turn around here, but it has to confirm by breaking that upper channel, and so far we have not gotten anything confirmation-wise really. And not only does it have to break that upper channel, but let me show you this. The thing with breaking the upper channel is it needs to do it with a stronger than average move. And even then, because this channel gets so tight here, it can still go and do a two-wave move for it to be and then go. So a lot of times when the channel gets like this and it's just one bar overlapping the next, you get these fake moves. So it can give you a fake setup up, go to a lower low, and then finally turn and go to the upside. And that's what we're trying to see if that's what that's doing right now, since it did do the flush to the downside here. I would have actually liked it to have flushed just a little bit more, but we'll see. So right now my bias on this is to the upside again, but we're just watching the momentum on the day-to-day basis here at this point. Dollar yen. Weekly is exactly what we were just talking about. Extreme drop down, more than 61.8% retracement, slower overall follow through coming out of that move. And the monthly on this is iffy. I think this is going to try to gain momentum on the downside. So what we're looking for is, can this go and treat this triangle as a continuation move and end up finally breaking down. That's what it's leaning towards right now. It's finally starting to show some more bias in that direction. Pound dollar. Same thing, you guys. Extreme move down, pulls back up, slower start. This might do a 2B here on the monthly. That's what I'm looking for on this on the monthly time frame. Weekly, 2-wave, good support, strong momentum. Still has a little bit of wiggle room here for the downside. This can go just a little bit further down, maybe do like a momentum reversal here. That would be a buy. So watching that out for a couple of weeks here. You'll notice that it has the measured move into the previous low right here. The 2-wave smaller measured move, but it's not the bigger one yet. Let me put that on here. So here's your first one. Your second measured move is going to be right down around here. So that leaves a little bit more wiggle room for this to push a little further before it tries to bounce. NASDAQ is holding that 2-wave pullback. Since I mentioned it, let me pull that up and show you guys what I was talking about quick. Here. This is that 2-wave pullback I mentioned a few minutes ago. So you're just right at some first main resistance here with the measured move and the previous high. I know, scalp setup, but hey, it was there. Dollar Swiss, I don't know. Sometimes you just stay away from something. And the dollar Swiss I have not been doing much with at all lately. I think back here was like the last time I had a major trade on it. Other than some smaller little scalper moves, but I don't see anything for a bigger setup here on this that I would do anything with. Euro yen, I'll pull that up for you. Euro yen is looking pretty good for a retest of this previous low zone. Yeah, you're looking really good. Continue this momentum here into that low. We're about 115. Here's one, of course, that I've been following a lot because, hello, Turkey. So the Turkish lira, we saw this go crazy. And it is trying to do a little bit of a cup with handle here. You've got your momentum reversal. I showed my husband this the other day. He was not thrilled. Kind of grumbled. But here's your momentum reversal. 1, 2, 3, and this is your handle. Here's your cup. Here's your handle. Ideally, of course, your handle will be up a little bit higher, but this is still your momentum reversal. And here's your first main target zone on this. But it doesn't look so good. Still looks like this could come back up. And unfortunately, This is something that can come back up further. I haven't told him that yet. I don't know if I should just kind of keep that information to myself. But yeah, this is one that can go up and go even further than the measured move. Let's see. What else would you guys like me to take a look at here today? Go ahead and post some of your questions in here and I'll take a look at them. Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to grab a drink and we'll go look at them. Okay, so we have got the peso. Peso weekly is pretty tame. Let's look at the monthly. This is one I haven't traded in a while. Almost looks like it could try a little push for breakdown, but it doesn't need to. This one's tricky. You've got your 3 highs here at the momentum reversal, back at the lower end of the channel, hugging the lower end of the channel. But I've seen these break with false breaks only to go back up. So a lot of times what happens is it will treat this like a two-way correction and then go back up like that. So you'll get these little pushes to the downside, but not a full-fledged avalanche. It'll do kind of like a fake break for an avalanche and then go back up. Let's see your daily. Daily is at good resistance. Probably get a little bit of reaction here on the daily, but this could go and just turn like that and do a second wave back up into this resistance. So I would look for like a little push down, and if it holds like right around here, that could give you another pop on the daily time frame. It'd just be a short-term move. That would bring it back up to the upper end of this range here too. Yeah, this is just one where I'm just not seeing much for setups or anything on this right now that I would do anything with at the moment. It's pretty stable. I just did the same thing, Jesse. This looks lower. So you got your tilted avalanche going on in here. So this channel is looking pretty decent to be able to break down. This looks a lot like the pattern I showed you guys on the NASDAQ in League of Traders here today. My trade at, what was it, 10:45? let's find that again. Right here. Looks a lot like this. Kind of lining them up for you. So see the drop here? Very similar to the drop here. Then we get kind of this congestion that's kind of slinking lower. Same thing here, and then it drops. So that would be my bias on that SRCL. I think we're going to see more downside coming out of this. Very, very similar pattern. Weekly has that room to go and retest that low and even put in a slightly lower low still too. Team. Wow, you guys are giving me tricky ones today. Look at that. Let's see. I went a little too far. Here's about the measured move. So you're right at a measured move, but it didn't have that second wave with the similar momentum because I kind of had this little blurpy part in the middle. So it could still push a little bit further. And sometimes when things get choppy like this, they will even go and have like this blowout top, kind of like here, but on a bigger extent. So even though we're getting like these short-term intraday things that are suggestive of flush moves to the downside, they could be really short-lived like this. So I'm not overly confident on totally turning this one around yet. I've seen it happen too many times that that will just go and put in another move to the upside and smooth things out like that, but on a bigger scale. So we are definitely in flush territory. So you could easily get a flush to the downside here. Pretty rapid move. And then have that turn back around again. Very risky of traps. This is a pattern that I like better. I like this setup. This is perfect. Nice two-way move into your congestion. Then you get your shift in momentum. Beautiful little buy. And then the continuation. Previous high. That's kind of like your guaranteed move. This is extra. But that's a nice little move there. VEP. I cannot type today. What am I doing? VEV. Can't read either. All right. It's really exhausted, but again, these are the ones that sometimes will go to the slightly higher high. So here's your two-wave main move with your congestion in the middle. So sometimes these go and just will keep creeping, and then other times they'll go for a slightly higher high and then turn around. And it's kind of a coin toss. You got to watch this momentum here and as it hits that first support. So right now it's hugging it, but it could still pull it up. So it can still start out gradually here, even do like a fake break, and then go and pull this up. So I wouldn't be too excited on this on the downside quite yet. I would prefer it to have another wave up before I got too invested on the short side, or at least for this to base out longer. Because if it tries to break here, even though it's had a two-wave base in here, if it tries to break here, it's more likely that it could be a trap. So I'd wait for one of those two things, either to come back up, give a short up there, or to base out longer and do something like in the midway to turn that around. Let's see if there's another example I can show you where that happened. You can see sometimes these that they try to go a little early and then they pop back up and then go. So kind of like that. There's not another example here on this particular security. I know this happened in the NASDAQ today, but I'm trying to think where that was at. And kind of 1148 on a 50 tick shows a little bit of that type of thing happening. $11.13 again on the 50 tick, but nothing exactly like this. Sometimes I can immediately find an example to show you, and sometimes they elude me. If you look at between, let me grab this. This is what you want it to look more like. Grab this and post this. This is what you'd prefer to see that base look more like. So go like this and have a steadier move, strong drop into it, has the two tops, but then it has the slower move and then gives the short. So that's going to be a better one than what you've got going on here, where it's actually slows into the support the second time. So you have your two tops, but then even though it starts out fast, it shifts momentum here and then shifts momentum here. So you've got this two momentum shift, whereas in the NASDAQ, it just went straight down and then shifted straight up over. That's more bearish. This has more potential to do traps and not make for the prettiest setups. Retesting lows here on the Dow, you guys, right here. All right, let's see. Anyone else have any other questions? I am hoping by next week I am over this jet lag and I finally stop falling asleep at 5 o'clock at night and waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's getting a little ridiculous, especially since my kiddo is keeping the same hours. You are welcome, you guys. I will get this posted. It will be at tonyhansen.com/Friday. And you'll also be able to find it on my YouTube channel. And all of the other sessions from this week will be in the member section by the end of the day. So you guys, if you missed any of the League of Trader Live this week, you want to go back and study them. Trust me. Lots and lots of detailed, advanced notes and tips. So make sure you go back and review them. All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. I've got some party planning here to do too. My kiddo turned 8 yesterday. How do I access my YouTube channel? Let me find it. I need to get all these links direct on the site for you guys, don't I? Make it easier. My channel. I'm not like the social media guru here by any means. Let's see if this is a good link here. I am going to give you a video link and then you can go that way. Good morning, gang, from somewhere in the middle of Kansas. Okay. Here we go. This is one of the previous forward focus sessions. So if you just scroll down there, you'll see me and it will take you to all of my videos. Maybe I just need to hire like a social media guru for me. I do not have the time to do all of this. You are welcome. Yeah, you'll find all kinds of stuff hanging out there on YouTube. All right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. I am going to go rest up. I got my trading in this morning from 3 a.m. onward, and I'm going to call it a day here. So I will see all of you back here next Monday, League of Traders Monday. We are going to be talking about head and shoulders patterns and the second chance entries. So we're going to be expanding upon this week's theme. and taking it from there. So lots of details on Head and Shoulders that are vitally important that you probably have missed unless you've studied my previous Head and Shoulders classes. That will be at noon on Monday. Oh, good job, Mark. How fun. Cruise and camping. I took a ferry from Turkey to Greece. Does that count as a cruise? Yeah, not really. I've never been on a real cruise. Someday. And Harvey is getting married tomorrow. So congratulations to Harvey. I know he's not in here right now. I didn't see him anyways, but sending out congrats to him as well. All right, guys, I'm going to get this saved. I'll get this up for you to study and review, and I see you next week. Take care.